Kevin Roos in the New York Times. Several experts I spoke with recommended that the Biden administration put together a cross-agency task force to tackle disinformation and domestic extremism, which would be led by something like a quote-unquote reality czar.
Oh.
Yeah. As I said, Ministry of Truth, anybody? That should work out well.
Who should get that job, too?
This is the way to deal with QAnon social media posts and the OAN newscasts and anything else that they can tag under the headers of disinformation and domestic extremism. This will really be a wondrous development in the rule of law for a free society, won't it? For more on this and a couple other topics, pleased to be rejoined again by Adam Mill, an attorney specializing in labor and employment, public administration law, I should say, contributor to the Federalist, amgreatness.com, and the Daily Caller. Adam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Dan and Amy. It's a great morning.
So what about that? Somebody to make sure everybody knows what the truth is and get those domestic terrorists who are trafficking in untruths under heel.
Yeah, I mean, this is really chilling. We have a number of investigations that have been opened up from the Capitol Hill protests and the Capitol Hill riots, and the FBI is fanning out across the country. And I believe the first arrest has already been made of somebody who did not enter the Capitol building, did not destroy any property, but while spending time in front of a microphone, apparently said something that upset people. And now if you upset people and they take action as a result of you upsetting them, then you're responsible for their actions if you're conservative. If you're not conservative, then it's a completely different rule. You can stand there in front of a microphone, you can call to burn things down, and you won't be arrested, and and everything will be just fine. But yeah, I think that the Ministry of Truth absolutely comes to mind. It's amazing how people can say something like a czar, a reality czar, and not understand the historic implications, and that's the kind of thing that's the kind of position that exists in North Korea or China, and I don't know if it's ignorance of history or if they're enjoying getting our hackles up for the people who do know history.
Well, history, what history? We're starting fresh. All that's wiped away, including any foundations of a free society. This is why, if you raise the Supreme Court standard in Brandenburg with respect to hate speech, well, that's just quickly dismissed. If you raise the specter of the rule of law, you don't understand, Adam. What we have here is a problem. We have people who don't understand what the truth is, and this is a way to solve that problem. We are completely unconstrained by things like the Constitution or federal statutory law or Supreme Court jurisprudence.
Yeah, and Dan, I think the latest article I wrote on was about basically this break that our executive branch is making from the Constitution. When you start with the idea that all federal employees are required to make one oath of loyalty, and that oath of loyalty is to the Constitution itself. It's not to Joe Biden. It's not to James Comey. It's not to get Trump. It's to the Constitution. And this kind of erosion of what does the Constitution mean? Well, it means whatever leftists say it means, has really kind of made it so that oath doesn't mean anything either. And what I wrote about recently was this Kevin Clinesmith plea deal, which, not under the First Amendment, but under the Fourth Amendment and also the separation of powers. We had a huge problem with the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. What happened was in August of 2016, as they were pivoting away from trying to not investigate Hillary Clinton and gin up this investigation of Donald Trump, they were casting about for somebody to do one of these intrusive FISA warrants against. It's a wraparound warrant that basically allows them to tap everything. And you think about your cell phone has a camera and has a microphone in it. So does your computer, your mail. I mean, just everything that the government could possibly surveil, plus 2 hops. So if you're talking to your best friend and your best friend is talking to somebody, these FISA warrants allow the government to look into those relationships too. So it's two concentric circles away. So it's incredibly powerful. Well, they looked at George Papadopoulos. They looked at Michael Flynn. They looked at a bunch of these Trump associates, but they settled on Carter Page because Carter Page was going back and forth to Russia. He was styled himself as an expert on Russia, and he was associated with the Trump campaign, which had named him as like an advisor or something like that. So in August, what they need to get a warrant is probable cause that Carter Page is a spy for Russia, and it needs to be reasonable. The warrant needs to be a reasonable way of gaining the information. They just had two problems. First, Carter Page got wind of the fact that the FBI was coming after him, so he wrote an open letter published in the Washington Post to James Comey saying, "Hey, I hear you have questions about my Russia connections. Send an FBI agent over, and I will talk to anyone at any time about what I know." And so that makes the search unreasonable. When the target is willing to provide the information without a search, and there's reason to believe that he's being truthful, that you can't go through his underwear drawer. You have to at least give that a chance before you go forward. And then the other problem was they didn't have probable cause that he was a Russian spy, because that same month in August, the CIA wrote the FBI a memo saying, "Oh yeah, Carter Page has been working for us from like 2007 to 2013, so only about 3 years before they're planning on doing this. He's been approved for operational information. Like we've been using him as a spy against Russia."
Right, and we've talked about this at some length over the years that it's been, and so the Clinesmith plea deal for purposely doctoring an email to make it read the opposite of what it legitimately read, and he gets probation. And then we still have the Durham investigation that's an open question, but obviously there is very little hope and a great deal of cynicism about the prospect of that producing anything now. And so where are we left when it comes to law enforcement under our top law enforcement and intelligence agencies?
Right. And, I wrote an article a while back about the fact that I didn't expect Clinesmith to get anything, because Clinesmith was not in on that conversation in August of 2016 when it turned up that the CIA said Page was a source. He came into the picture in June of 2017 when Carter Page gave an interview and said, I don't know why they're accusing me of being a Russian spy. I've been helping an intelligence community against Russia for years. And so this set off alarm bells in the Crossfire Hurricane team, and this is all profiled in the Inspector General's report. This isn't me making things up. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's documented. And so they went to Clinesmith and said, "Go check with the CIA to see if this is true. Has Carter Page been a source?" Now, by now, they've issued the original warrant, a renewal, a second renewal, and now they're working on the third renewal of the warrant. It's been going on for 9 months. So he does. And he finds out exactly what the CIA told the FBI 10 months earlier, which is, "Oh yeah, Carter Page has been our source." So he sends 2 copies of an email that he received from the CIA, the true one and then the doctored one. And he sends that to, he says, the agent that actually swore the affidavit to the FISA court, plus his superiors, plus anyone who would be in a position of authority in the FBI. Only Clinesmith has been charged with a crime, but he's not the one who made the decision.
Right.
He's not the one who pulled the trigger on the affidavit and filed it in front of the FISA court. He doctored the document,
but who pressured him to do it? Right, who pressured him to doctor or fabricate that email?
Amy, that's the million-dollar question, and it's an easily knowable thing because Clinesmith has been in the clutches of Durham for close to a year now. And this has all been, this is all documented by email. They all know who it is, but we don't know who it is.
So the point is, much like they needed some thinly veiled predicate to do what they were intent to do, and so Carter Page provided that, at least so they thought. They have this is just sort of a textbook Fall Guy stuff here. And now with the new administration, play the waiting game, wait out the previous administration, have all your institutional allies go out and slow things down and muddy the waters, which they did. You got your fall guy. He gets a slap on the wrist. He can have a soft landing somewhere someday, which I'm sure he will in the not too distant future. And everything moves on like it was before this unfortunate Trump interregnum. Isn't that what's happening?
It's worse than that because you can look at the people who probably were involved in making this decision. People like Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, James Comey. They're all rich men now. Rod Rosenstein personally signed that last FISA renewal. They're all rich men. They've all, except for Rosenstein, they've all signed book deals. Rosenstein is a partner at a mega law firm right now. So yeah, it's like they robbed the bank, and then they wrote a book about it, and then they got rich, and nothing will happen. So yeah, I mean, Clinesmith's position is I never lied to anybody. I told my people the truth, which I gave them the two versions of the email, and then what they decided to do with the fabricated email, they knowingly did, and that's on them.
Well,
So that
Clinesmith,
was
he's
his
not with the
defense.
Department of Justice anymore, is he?
He was allowed to continue working for the Department of Justice for a long time,
But he's gone.
and it wasn't until like a month before the Inspector General's report came out, I believe he was allowed to quietly resign. I don't think he was fired.
Go figure.
Adam Mill, attorney specializing in labor and employment and public administration law, contributor to the Federalist, Damn Greatness, and the Daily Caller. Thanks for joining us, Adam. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.